Do you actually know how to listen to your inner guidance? Do you even know that you have inner guidance? Today on Talk to Me Baby, that is what we are going to be diving into. So, inner guidance, we tend to think is like this big thing, right? It's going to be this like lightning bolt from the sky. It's going to be this really loud aha moment. It's this eureka thing. We're going to just be like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need to do. And I know exactly where I'm going. Most of the time, your inner guidance is going to be a little bit more quiet. It's not going to be as loud. It's not going to be as pronounced. And it is your job to learn how it is that your inner guidance speaks to you so that you can be led by it and you can avoid just feeling confused about life in general, and worse, eroding trust in yourself and disempowering yourself by constantly wondering if you're doing the right thing or if you're on the right path or what about this or what about that and blah, 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 right? So I'm going to give you a very small example of learning how to trust your inner guidance. A week ago, I decided on the podcast topic for today, which honestly is really not that groundbreaking. Listen to your inner guidance, like, blah, blah, blah. But I really was stuck on it. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. I didn't feel inspired. Nothing was really clicking. I have had a list of things that I've been collecting basically since the end of May. And I wanted to start this podcast and I wanted to do something with it. And I just was putting way too much pressure on myself to come out with this like amazingly groundbreaking first episode. And realistically, we know this is the pancake episode, right? First pancake, always going to look a little strange, a little like it's been through some things. You know, that pancake is not okay, the first pancake. So this is the first pancake episode. There's really no reason for me to stress out about it so much, but I wanted to feel like what I was talking about mattered and like there was a little bit of spark of inspiration behind it. So last week I was doing my makeup. I love beauty. I love makeup, all that good stuff. And I had this thought. And it just came to me suddenly. I didn't know what makeup I was going to do that day. I didn't know what eyeshadow I was going to do. And I just had this random thought, ooh, what if you put your Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize cream eyeshadow on, and then you layer it with one of these ColourPop eyeshadows that you have on the top? Wow. Okay. I had never done that before. It wasn't something that was in my normal repertoire of eye looks. And I decided to just try it. It felt good to me in the moment. And what I did is I took Bet, I think it's called Star Gold now. And then I took a little Corky from ColourPop and I put it on top. And then I added a little bit of I Heart This right in the center. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can see my eyes. And I don't even know if the camera is picking this up because they look gilded. Okay. This looks like some antique gold, silver goodness. It's not too warm. It's not too cool. I mean, it's stunning. Okay. And it's even better in person. This is a minor, tiny little example of an idea that I had that felt good and I decided to do it. And initially I was like, oh, well, this is nice. I really like my eyeshadow today. I like how it came out. But then I thought, ooh, this would be a great podcast episode about how to trust your inner voice. Because if you can't trust yourself on the little things, you also can't trust yourself on the big things. And a lot of times we don't realize that when we doubt ourselves or we lack a trust in our ability to make decisions for ourselves on the big things, it means that we also probably have that same thing on the smaller scale. If you can master the little things, you can also master the big things. So that is a teeny tiny little example that is very low stakes, but that is one way that your inner guidance might speak to you. Usually it feels like one of two things. So it's either like my eyeshadow inspiration where it was ooh, that feels good. It's like if you had a light bulb in your solar plexus and somebody pulled the cord and it went on, right? And you're like, oh, that feels amazing. Love that. Follow that impulse. If it feels good to you, see it out, see it through and see what happens. That's how you teach yourself and how you learn is by doing it, by taking those steps. So if it felt good to you when you received the idea, go for it and see what happens. That's the first thing. Okay. The other way is when it will kind of float up through your subconscious. So this is like something kind of coming up to the surface. So it's almost like something on the bottom of the ocean floor or the bottom of a lake kind of just slowly rising up. And usually it's because you are in a more relaxed state. You are in between being awake and being asleep. You're kind of in that weird like in between period, or you're relaxed and you're watching TV or you're daydreaming or you're not in the process of some type of mentally taxing exercise. And that is when your inner voice can just kind of come through. Like when your mind is quieter, your inner voice can speak to you. Maybe it happens during meditation for you. Maybe it happens when you're just in that more relaxed kind of a state, but you might have realizations. We've all had that. You're in the shower and boom, you got an idea. It's because you are in a relaxed enough state that you can actually receive that. So when that happens, sometimes what comes through is not what you want to do. And it's still your inner guidance telling you something, but you'll know because it will keep kind of coming back around. So if you have the thought and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this right now, just wait. If it comes back up again, or if it's nagging at you like, that's right, I had that thought or I had that realization the other day, it will just keep showing up. That is your inner voice trying to get your attention and trying to continue that process of speaking to you. So let's zoom in. I'll give you some practical ways of trusting your inner voice, and then we will zoom out and kind of see what the larger implication is in your life. So zooming in, right? First of all, you have inner guidance. You do. We're all born with inner guidance, intuition, instinct. We all have it. It's your soul communicating to you. No one else can make decisions about your path or your decisions in life except for you. I mean, that sounds so basic, right? Like, wow, groundbreaking. But you would be surprised when you start to observe yourself how often we can delegate that task to other people, even to the universe in a way where we become obsessed about looking for signs and we're seeking answers outside of ourselves when you already know. You already know. My mindset coach said this to me years ago, which is what really kind of kicked off my journey into just understanding myself better, and completely changed my life in massive ways. But I was always in kind of this state of confusion. Like, I don't know what I should do. And should I move or should I not? Or should I try to get this job or should I do that? Or blah, blah, blah. And she was just like, your body knows, your inner voice knows, it knows. You just have to learn how to listen to it. And at first I was pissed off. I'm not going to lie. I was like, like if I knew, then I would know. And then I would like do things and I wouldn't be this confused. But the truth is that I did know. And once I got past feeling annoyed about the fact that it wasn't just written out and spelled out for me so clearly, I was able to create a relationship with that inner part of me. So now I don't feel the need to really question myself. And I know that I'm going off track when I start getting way too in my head and I'm like going in circles with decisions. I have methods to detach myself from that so that I can get the answers, because I trust myself at this point. It's taken many, many years, but I am now able to have that sense of trust in myself. So let's start small, okay? The eyeshadow example is a very silly little example. I will give you another example that's also kind of in the same vein. This is an exercise you can do that is called body pendulum. So you stand up straight, feet nicely planted on the ground. Don't lock your knees, just stand normally, stand up nice and tall, breathe in and out a few times. Ask yourself a yes or no question. It's better if you ask the yes or no question in the present, not like what's going to happen in the future. It can be clarification of how you feel about something or a decision you need to make or whatever. But even understanding subconsciously the kind of beliefs that you hold. Do I actually love myself? Am I actually ready for a promotion or a new job? Like whatever the case is, okay? Would red hair look good on me? I don't know. You can ask your body these questions. And what will happen is, if the answer is yes, you will lean forward. And if it's no, you will lean back. You're not going to topple over in either direction, but it might be very subtle. But you will experience a tiny little shift. And you have to really let your body lead. You have to detach from the mind and just say, okay, I'm going to get an answer. And then you just see which way your body leans. So I did body pendulum a while back because again, so silly. We can ask really deep life questions like, why am I here? And, should I move to the countryside? Really big decisions. Or you can ask questions like, should I buy this sunscreen on sale? That's what I asked myself because I love Supergoop sunscreen, the unseen sunscreen. If you are seeing me on YouTube, then you know that I am not a person who tans. I wear sunscreen all the time, even inside, even when I'm not wearing makeup, even when I'm not going outside. I still wear sunscreen because hello, windows. Sun still gets through the windows. Okay. So I wear it every single day. And I really like the unseen sunscreen. So I needed some sunscreen. I was almost out. And Supergoop was having a sale. And for a while, I had heard that the Trader Joe's sunscreen was a dupe for it, but it was never in stock in my store. Every time I went in there, it was not in stock. I asked them, they were like, we don't know. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. It goes really quickly, blah, blah. I mean, every single time. It had been like weeks that I had not been able to get it. So they're having a sale on Supergoop. And I'm like, well, I might as well stock up. Like, I'm almost out, like I cannot be out without sunscreen. Okay. I live in Florida. This is a non-negotiable for me. And I just was hesitating, and I didn't know why. Like, why am I hesitating to check out, And so I stood up and I did body pendulum, and I just asked myself, should I buy this right now? And my body leaned back. And so the answer was a no. Okay. It was just a no. And the next time I went to Trader Joe's, they had 4 sunscreens left. Okay. They had only 4 left. And you better believe I bought all 4. I threw those things into my cart and I was like, look at that. I asked my body said no, and here I am, and bada bing, bada boom. I know I told you not to ask questions about the future, but there was like some inner knowing in me that knew, like, one day we're going to have a lucky break and we're going to get the damn sunscreen at Trader Joe's. And all 4 of those sunscreens were basically the price of the one Supergoop. And now I've never looked back. And now it is an abundance of sunscreen up in that Trader Joe's. They stock that thing around the clock. I haven't been there in months where I've seen any type of shortage whatsoever. So fabulous, right? Amazing. So do that. Okay. Do the body pendulum. That's something that you can do. Something else that you can do is, if you are trying to decide between different options, let's say you are trying to figure out, should I take this job? Should I not take this job? Should I break up with this dude? Should I not break up with this dude? If you have questions like that, play out the scenario in your mind and see how you feel, because that might reveal subconsciously how you actually feel. So, for example, let's say you were trying to decide about a job and you needed to decide if you were going to take this job or not. Play out in your mind, I take the job. Imagine it. How do you feel? And then imagine the opposite. You know what? I turned them down. I didn't take the job. See how you feel. If one of those produces a great sense of anxiety or fear or discomfort or negativity or just ickiness in you, then maybe that's not the choice, right? That gives you your answer. So that's another thing that you can do. Okay. So body pendulum, starting off with the little things. Don't try to dive in to the really complex things if you are not in a practice state of actually listening to your inner voice. Start with the teeniest, tiniest little things. You can ask the universe for signs, but I think part of learning how to trust yourself is not, like I mentioned, delegating that outside of yourself, even though we are eternal beings having a physical experience. So the universe is already contained inside of you. It's not like this thing that you shouldn't listen to or you shouldn't pay attention to, but when you're getting a little crazy, when you're getting a little too obsessive about answers, and you ask for signs and you're like, I don't like that sign. I want a new sign. And you're like, I need another sign. There's that meme that's like, I need a signier sign than the one that you sent. So I do have a tip on this, actually. If you are asking for signs, you need to ask for crystal clear signs that are unmistakable, where you can't interpret it willy-nilly. Right now I have the bathroom leak. It's super annoying. We don't know where it's coming from. Nobody in the building knows where it's coming from. It is a total mystery. It's not coming from my unit. It's coming from somebody above who have no idea. Some asshole is showering and they shouldn't be. I'm joking, but it's very annoying, and it's persistent, and it will happen for a little period of time, and then it disappears, and then it's gone for like 5 months, and then it's come back. And so I'm at the point where I really do need to deal with it. And the plumber was here the other day, and he was like, dear man, he was like, I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to take this out. He was like, tenemos que picar. And I was like, I don't want you to break apart the vanity, because I only have the one bathroom. And, that's not what I want. I don't want the vanity to have to be completely dismantled. But at the end of the day, the leak is behind the vanity. That's where the water is coming through. And it's kind of like, it is what it is at this point. So I asked the universe for a sign. I said, is it better for me to dismantle the vanity, or is there an alternative? Can I just cut a little hole out? Because he was saying maybe we can just cut a hole out in the back of the vanity and then through the wall, and then we can like feed a camera through there, and maybe that's how we can see. So these were my options. But in my gut, I just kind of felt like no, that whole thing has to get torn down. The whole shebang has got to go. And I'm just going to brush my teeth and wash my face and do my skincare at my kitchen sink. That's just the reality. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be annoying, but I'll survive. So I was really stressed out about it. I'm a lot more nonchalant about it today, but it's really been weighing on me. I've been dealing with this all week. It's been very frustrating and annoying to have to sop up water. And I mean, it's just not fun. So this is the sign that I asked for. If I'm going to have to destroy this vanity, and we have to do, which is what we have to do it so we can see through the entire back of the wall, show me popcorn. And if I can get away with maybe just cutting a hole and it can stay intact, show me a toy train. Why did I pick those things? I don't know. Those were just literally the things that popped into my head. So pick something extremely specific and then see what happens. So later on that day, I said this, I said, show me this or show me this. I let it go. I went about my day. And then later on, I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a photo of this girl sitting in this beautiful Parisian cafe. And I really liked her outfit and her hair. And so I clicked on it. And in front of her was a bowl of popcorn. Okay. First of all, popcorn is not particularly Parisian. It wasn't like a croissant. It wasn't a macaroon. It was a bowl of popcorn. It was sitting in front of her. And I was just like, okay, great. Popcorn. I got my answer. And I guarantee you start testing this out, you will get your answer. I had a feeling that I was going to need to dismantle the vanity. And I got confirmation. I had the confirmation. So that's another way, if you feel that you want just that extra confirmation that you are, adequately understanding and interpreting and you're on the right path, etc., do that. Okay. So let's zoom out. Okay. Let's zoom out for a second. Fundamentally, listening to your inner voice, right? And whether you are willing to do that or not, answers the question, do I believe that this is a friendly universe or not? I think it was Albert Einstein who originally said, you can either believe this is a friendly universe or you don't. What you believe is what you will get. So if you believe that life is out to get you and, things never work out, or, if you say things like, oh, well, that would happen to me, or just my luck, or like, oh, yeah, well, duh, it's not going to work out. That's what you are setting yourself up for. And these perceptions you've developed over time because maybe things didn't work out, right? They come from somewhere. They come from your previous life experience, but that doesn't mean that it's ever too late to change your perception. Even if that has been your perception your entire life, you can change it. You're not going to wake up like Susie Sunshine tomorrow, but you can slowly start to shift that perspective just little by little, and the momentum will build, and then you will be able to trust yourself. But listening to your inner guidance, it's a sign of believing that this is a friendly universe, because if you're able to listen to it and then act on it, even when it's stuff you don't want to deal with, even if you don't like the answer, but you trust, you know what? I don't like this. I'm not happy about it, but you're telling me to do this, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. This is what you're telling me. You have to kind of recognize at some point that the universe is on your side, or not, or don't be miserable. But it's really up to you how you want to view your life to get the things that you want, and to live in a comfortable way where you're not constantly questioning yourself or questioning your decisions or asking other people or, second guessing, so that you can actually let things happen. Because if you're in that constant state of second guessing, and I have been there many a time, I have kept myself in a state of confusion because it has benefited me by not having to actually take action. Because if I'm confused, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. Guess I'll do nothing. And then I don't do anything, even though I know that I should. And I know that I want to, more importantly. So I block myself and I self-sabotage by allowing myself to stay in a state of confusion when I could practice listening to my inner voice, and then I could practice actually taking the steps that I'm being guided to take, right? Sometimes trusting your intuition means you're going to be doing things you don't want to do. Did I want to get divorced? Not really, but that's what was coming through. And it got to a point where I was like, yep, this has got to happen. Do I want my vanity to be dismantled? No, but that's what I feel in my gut. And I have to believe that it's for something better. There's a reason, there's something down the line that I can't see. And that is my inner guidance and my intuition and my soul telling me, right? Like my inner being, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, God telling me that I have to go in this particular way because it might benefit me later on. Like I know that by getting divorced, now I know so much more clearly what I do want and what I don't want. And I know that I have created a beautiful relationship through that experience, just because I have more clarity about things that I didn't even know. And I know that most likely I have to take this vanity apart because if not, this is just going to continue to happen and could potentially even get worse. So it's better to just rip the Band-Aid off and deal with it now as opposed to putting it off for later. There's probably something else. So I just have to trust that I am being moved in a way that is right for me. And that's when you get to a sense of like really feeling empowered. Even this podcast, did I want to do a podcast? Yes, I've been thinking about it for a long time, but this is like, it's still kind of scary. No, people might not watch this. People might not care about it. People might never even see this, which is fine. It's fine, but it's something that I was being called to. And it's funny because I was talking to someone the other day and I said, oh yeah, I'm going to do this podcast. And they were kind of like, podcasting doesn't have an audience and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And that's just been what my gut's been telling me to do the podcast, record it, throw it up on YouTube, like just do that. I don't know why, but that appealed to me and that's what I'm following. And I don't care what the numbers say and I don't care what people say and I don't care that the world at large, the internet at large, thinks that it's not even worth starting a podcast in 2023 or that it's super challenging or that I have to do all these things to figure it out. I'm just following that impulse. And I don't know what'll happen. Maybe I'll make a few episodes and it'll be fun and then it'll die, or maybe it'll grow, or who knows. But I just know that I'm being called to do it. And I know that it's got to be for a reason, right? So you have to see trusting yourself as being supported, where you don't feel like you're alone in life because you actually have your inner guidance to help lead you. And when you're making decisions, you're backed up. You're backed up by this infinite intelligence that is nudging you in a specific way, but you have to be open to it. And it starts with the little things. To recap, it might happen one day that you just got an idea to put on a certain eyeshadow color, or you have this impulse, I'm going to wear this outfit today. See how those things play out. Oh, you know what? I want to go to this restaurant. I remember I was walking down the street one time on a Saturday, and for whatever reason, I had in my mind I was going to walk down like a specific block and then turn. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go this way. And guess what? I ran into two of my friends totally randomly. Like they were literally coming down the street at the same time. It's like we just collided. We met on the corner and I was like, oh my God, it was so delightful. I just had the feeling and I followed the impulse. Start to trust yourself. Don't listen to everyone else out there who's like, oh, the story of that person who made that one decision and then they drove off of a cliff. Okay. No, that's not how you want to live your life. Do not give in to that sense of fear that listening to yourself, you're somehow going to be led astray. When you practice this and you do it on a regular basis and you really learn how to trust yourself, it's awesome because you know what you need to do and what you don't. You don't have to listen to the riffraff out there, and you don't have to subscribe to a story if it's not benefiting you and if it's not what you want. So that was your episode for today. Talk to me, baby. I will see you later.